because the boundaries of the team are unsure right now. I feel very concerned about whether I'm a member in good standing of this team. So my best way to express my member in good standingness is to talk about what we have in common. Yes, I'm one of you. And one of the problems is that to the extent that we only talk about our commonality, that unique perspective we were put on the team for never gets expressed. And it may be that I don't know what the norms are. Is this a team where we actually talk about disputes, or is this a team where we don't have disputes? And if it's an early in the team's life, I may simply observe to see whether I should talk or not, and whether we should have, maybe this is a team where conflict is not acceptable. So, how do we get members to share their unique perspectives? The research gives us a couple of ideas. Now, some of these you're going to think of as not particularly insightful, but I wanted to let you know just in case you're looking for some easy solutions. Number one, if the team believes there is a right answer. This is why what you want to do in the team is you want to talk about this being a problem-solving team. There's a right answer. If the team thinks there's a right answer, we have to find it as a group. It causes us to be willing to contribute our unique perspectives to the service of solving the problem. Number two, if the experts are known, it turns out that it's very useful for us. If, say, for example, I'm creating a team, and I actually am going to identify why I have each of you on that team. I want to make your expertise known to the other team members. Why? Well, you might think that's a problem, because they might say, well, that person's going to hog the airtime. But it turns out, when we observe what experts really do, experts who've been identified and have been legitimated. When experts have been legitimated on the team, they actually not only share their expertise, but they encourage conversations among other people. When do experts hog it? When they're trying to make their expertise legitimate, when they haven't been made legitimate by the team. So they have to justify their existence. So that's when they begin taking more time. The more your experts are already acknowledged, yes, you're the expert, the more they actually engage other team members. When the task is unfamiliar, when nobody here knows the answer. It's not like a situation where your team leader has the answer and you're supposed to guess it, right? But it's that nobody knows the answer. Let's contribute that information. When a common group identity exists, when does that happen? Well, this is the catch-22. The more the boundary of the team is clear, the more likely we've been together for a long time. The more likely we've been together for a long time, the less unique information we have, right? So part of the question is, how do I, as a team leader, get my team to be comfortable with its boundary, but also make sure there's unique perspectives into the team? In just a second, I'll give you an answer. When my information is demonstrable, I actually made it tough for you guys. Some of you brought in new information that the other team members didn't see, but all you could do is write it down on a piece of paper. It's been a lot easier for you if you said, look, see, right here, we didn't have this piece of information. When information is demonstrable, it carries more weight. However, if I have an opinion that is different from you, and I'm the only one, I need to be able to demonstrate the basis for my opinion. But if I have a colleague who thinks the same way I do, if two of us have the same opinion, the rest of you don't require such a strong justification for it. You accept two, or you won't accept one. So having a coalition partner helps. And we'll be spending more time on coalitions as well. And when new members are introduced. How do I get new information out? Well, let's bring new people in. And one of the things that we know, and this was actually a study that was done, I want to give you some results. So think about so you have a team that exists, right? And we're going to bring newcomers in. So what is the obvious thing that newcomers do? What do newcomers do for a team? They ask questions. They bring in new perspectives, right? You bring in a newcomer, they've got a new perspective, right? So we can have two different types of newcomers in this study. We had newcomers who were socially similar and newcomers who were socially dissimilar. Now what do I mean by that? Let's say we have an intact group of marketing professionals, and we bring in an engineer. Okay? That's a socially dissimilar newcomer. or we bring in another marketing professional, socially similar. Okay? What we did then was we then very carefully observed how the teams responded to these socially similar or socially dissimilar newcomers. And I think I've got it. Anyway, so notice here, how much, so we have two ways. Let's look at what the newcomers did, and then let's look at what the old-timers did. What the newcomers did. Well, it turns out that the socially similar newcomers didn't speak as much as the socially dissimilar newcomers did. Socially dissimilar newcomers spoke more. And you can see it's probably about, it's about 7 or 8% more than the socially similar newcomers. How much attention did the old-timers pay to what the newcomers said? And we had a scale. This is not, it's a scale, which was a combination of how much time did they spend looking, eye contact, looking at the newcomer. How often did they repeat or incorporate what the newcomer said into their subsequent conversations? Okay? And then how much did they refer back to the newcomer explicitly? Those are the three characteristics of the scale. And what we found was that old-timers, and this is the general notion, is how much attention did old-timers pay to newcomers? Old-timers paid more attention to socially dissimilar newcomers than they paid to socially similar. Now, that's not particularly surprising, right? Socially similar, it's like, hey, you're one of us, just come on in. But a socially dissimilar, I'm going to have to socialize you, you're a little bit different, I'm not going to predict, so I'm going to pay more attention to you. So what we also did was, we also asked them how well, so their group had to perform a task and solve a problem they did not know the answer to, much like you guys had to do today. And then we asked them, how well did you think your team did? Okay? Now this is a very cool result. So we got, right here, how well do you think your team did? I want to compare that to here, because we knew objectively how well their teams did. Do you see the disconnect? We asked the teams with socially similar newcomers, how well did you do? And they said, we did pretty well. Pretty good. And the socially dissimilar newcomers in the teams with socially dissimilar newcomers said, we didn't do so well. But look what they actually did. The socially dissimilar teams outperformed the socially similar teams by about 25%. So while 50% of the teams got, with the socially similar got the right answer, 75% of the teams got it with the socially dissimilar. That's a huge benefit. So we try to understand, what is it the teams actually do? What do newcomers do to teams? And it turns out that they absolutely, newcomers do bring different perspectives. But that wouldn't distinguish the socially similar from the socially dissimilar. What distinguished the socially similar from the socially dissimilar was that with the socially similar newcomers, there was much less of an attempt to socialize the newcomer because they already were pretty much alike the old members. The socially dissimilar newcomer had his impact because of the questions that he asked. So what happens is the socially similar forced the old-timers to talk explicitly about why they do things certain ways. And that changed how the team interacted. So one of the things that becomes very important, and this is, we go back to the mere presence of diversity. That socially dissimilar newcomer, once we knew they were different in a way that was not like the rest of the team, it caused us to pay more attention to what they had to say. And in doing so, in our attempts to try to socialize that person, it also changed how we thought about things. So, what can we do to enhance our team's performance? So we're going to wrap up here with the notion about some prescriptions for you to think about how you should think about composition. What can you do to improve the composition of your team? Number one, when you have the capability, when you have the opportunity to choose your team, I'm going to suggest that you think broadly about the human resources that you have access to in your organization, and not simply basically focus your team selection on people that you've worked with before, that you know, or who happen to sit in the office next door to you, because that's normally what we do. So think about broadly what that human, think about the human resources